Welcome everyone to season 5, episode 27, part 1 of the Hall of Fame show. Because I'm Kirk Buchner along with Evan Nolan, and we thought, you know what? We're just going to split this up because asking people to watch 2 hours of this, that's an awful lot. Because some of you are football fans, some of you are baseball fans, some of you are both, some of you just want to hear Evan rattle off dead people.
I have a lot of them, so be ready.
Okay, so we might do 3 parts. And I think that's sort of like the best thing to do. So 27, part 1. And we're going to start off with what I think is sort of the highlight of the week, or I'm more interested in this. And this is where we're going to take a deep dive into the Pro Football Hall of Fame semi-finalists. But before we do that, hey, we got to promote ourselves. We created the United States Athletics Hall of Fame, and that's ramping up in the next couple of weeks. You only have a few more weeks to vote. All votes are counted, but we don't take them late. Insert your own election joke here. I think like a lot of you, we're done talking about the election. Safe to say?
I don't feel like talking about it tonight, so yeah, we're good.
There you go. And I don't either. So Canadian, we have our own little different things. Although being Canadian, I helped co-create the United States Athletics Hall of Fame because my friend Evan and I realized something. No one came up with it. So we did.
That's true. That's
So
true.
So vote on www.theusahof.com and you can help decide the second class of the USA HOF.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, the Pro Football Hall of Fame has announced their semifinalists, and do you want to go through this? I've got my list by position.
Sure. However you'd like to do it.
Okay.
That sounds good to me.
All right. So for the
Let me just make
neophytes,
sure I have this right thing pulled up. So we're good. Go ahead.
okay. So for those who just want to learn a little bit more about this, they've now pared this down from 25. And again, thank you to the Pro Football Hall of Fame for just a lot more transparency, and we can actually see the last 25 out, which we'll be discussing also.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we're going to begin with the most controversial one. I think the last time I mentioned his name, I just said just put him in now, so I don't have to talk about him for 10 years. Eli Manning.
We are going to talk about it for 10 years. I'm just
I know.
telling you now.
Well, he is here in the last 25. We're going to see a great article, looks like, coming out from our friend Jack Silverstein, where I think he shared the title of it, Why 17 Players Are Better Than Him.
Or the 17 players who deserve being in the Hall of Fame more than Eli Manning.
Yeah, I don't know whether he just means this in terms of this particular 25. I assume so.
Well, I can think of at least 4 others who are not in this 25, but were in the 50 I would include as well. So
yeah. Well, but long story short, if Jack wrote it, it's worth reading.
Absolutely. It's coming out tomorrow. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So check that out. You can follow him at Read Jack on both platforms now. We were joking about that before because both Evan and I started our own Blue Sky. We'll see how long that lasts, but
Yep. I mean, there appear to be a bunch of people there. Again, we're not making political statements, but we figured we at least see what's there. And he and I have been members of Blue Sky at this point for a combined 5 hours. For both of us combined.
You and Jack, or you and me at this point?
I don't know. Jack said he was going over there. I'm like, all right, fine, that's enough. I'll take a look. So
yeah, well, I've got a whopping 4 followers, and I'm talking to one of them right now. So
yeah. I have 2, and I'm talking to one, and the other one's Jack. So
there you go. Well, Eli Manning is here. We knew that he would be. We don't know how far he's going to go.
This is too far already, but continue.
It's yeah. I mean, like I think that you and I are both bigger on Randall Cunningham, who is nowhere to be found. Was one of the did not make the 50. He's not going to make it at this point. Eli is loved for 2 reasons. They're 2 big reasons. 2 Super Bowls. He's got them. You can't take that away from him as much as you as a Pats fan really wanted to and tried. But
yeah, I understand that. I will say this, as I've said multiple times before, and this is just not me hating being a Pats fan. The only categories he led in his entire career in the NFL, he led one statistical category on 3 occasions. Do you know what that statistical category was?
I think you told me this and I've forgotten.
It's interceptions.
Interceptions. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well,
That is the only category. And in his entire career, there's 1 year, I'd say 2000, I think it's 2011. I don't have it directly in front of me. I did a whole thing on this once he was in the semifinals. Someone looked it up. It was 1 year that he was probably one of the top five quarterbacks. He was never first team All Pro, never second team All Pro. Pretty much every one of his Pro Bowls, he was an injury replacement. He was one loss away at the end of his career from ending his career with a losing record
yep.
in the NFL. Were his name Daniel Jones and not Eli Manning, we would not be having this conversation. I'm switching their careers and names.
And everything you said is dead on. I was going to bring up the 500 record, which he was again, and to punctuate what you said, he was lucky to have.
Very lucky.
Very, very fortunate to have. I'm pretty sure he's also somebody who's never received an Offensive Player of the Year vote. I know he's never received an MVP vote. And I'm going to check this out I wanted to do this for our show today, but I didn't have enough time. I'm going to do a deep dive, and I'm pretty sure that every other quarterback who's in the Hall of Fame in the Super Bowl era was at least that particular year the best player on their team.
Sure.
Was Eli Manning the best player on either Giants team? Don't think so.
No. I mean, the best player on either Giants team on offense didn't make the cut. So he didn't make the cut from 50 to 25.
Well, yeah, but okay, but on a Super Bowl team because Tiki wasn't on those.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was more thinking Strahan, like overall.
Also true.
Yeah. And I've got something more to say about Tiki, which sort of like response to Gary Myers, who had a sort of an interesting take on that. But we'll get there. But okay, you know what, Evan? What I really want, we don't have in our group. We have our own little football group, and we chat here and there. But none of our people are Giants fans. I would like to welcome a Giants fan. Oh, hey, Gary, how about you? You come on. Tell us what we're missing. And it's not that we're necessarily hating on Eli Manning. I have him. I think I've got him higher ranked than you do personally. It's just that is Eli Manning a first ballot Hall of Famer? Hell no.
No, it's not even close. Am I expecting Eli Manning to be in the Hall of Fame during my lifetime? I am. I'm not saying that, but the idea that I mean, even of the first ballot candidates that we have this year, that with the ones remaining, as a matter of fact, one of the people who didn't make it through, one of the running backs, who's the first ballot who didn't make it through for reasons I don't understand, is a better first ballot candidate than Eli. I would have him fifth, sixth out of the first ballot candidates.
That's where I would have him.
Somewhere around there, depending on how you feel about Earl Thomas.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about all those people there. You could even go seventh if I want to put Joe Staley ahead of him.
I don't know if I'd go. No, Staley's got to be pretty close, actually, too. That is. True.
I mean, like, Staley was was in his first year of eligibility. He made the cut to 50, didn't go any further. But I know Eli is sort of dominating the conversation, but that's what we're going to be faced with. This is sort of like an endless loop that, again, I'm only half joking when I say this. At least if he gets in, I don't have to talk about him anymore.
I suppose that's true. I mean, he officially, in my opinion, becomes the Harold Baines of quarterbacks in the Hall.
Well, a lot of people, when you see a lot of these write-ups, they always sort of like point at Joe Namath being the worst quarterback in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and they're going to point to the lower TDINT that he has.
That's everybody back then?
That's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Not everybody, to be fair, but it was not uncommon for somebody to have what we now consider a really awful TDINT ratio. Saying that, Joe Namath was the superstar on that team. That's unquestionable. Eli Manning did have some amazing playoffs. He also was not. There were so many more mediocre performances. I remember this. I'm old enough to remember watching him.
He has 8 career playoff wins in the 2 Super Bowl seasons. The seasons he did not win a Super Bowl, he did not win another playoff game. And again, Patriots fan sounds like I'm bitter, but what are we talking about here?
Well, yeah, the Patriots fan who's actually who's most in love with platonically a Minnesota Viking. So there you
Well,
go.
we'll get there when we get to the defensive lineman.
Yeah,
My soapbox is just right off to the side here.
yeah.
So
Well, he's here. We knew he
the,
would be.
yeah,
I
I mean he's the only quarterback we have here. The only other quarterback that was here was Steve McNair, who
yeah.
I'm lukewarm on as well. I have McNair as my third quarterback. Eli's my fourth, behind the two guys from the who played mostly for the Eagles, both Donovan McNabb and Randall Cunningham being number one of those folks. I
Yeah.
have both of those guys ahead of
In terms of the modern, yeah, I've got some senior quarterbacks ahead of
yeah.
him.
I'm just talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
yeah.
But here it is. I don't know what they're gonna do. It would not shock me. I wouldn't lay money on it, but it would not surprise me if Eli squeaks in first ballot, which would be awful.
I hope that we have people who are smart enough not to let that happen. I'm not saying we do. I'm just saying I hope
Well,
we do.
yeah. So here it is, and I guess we'll just go right to running backs. Where again, I
Oh
think I
my
tweeted
god.
this. These are not the two I would have had, although I'm certainly happier for one. One we knew was going to be here because he's a
Mm.
returning finalist, and that's Fred Taylor. Again, Fred Taylor, a very, very good running back for a long period of time. I will say the same thing that I just said about Eli, or that I think you said that. Was Fred Taylor ever once a top three running back? No.
Maybe. I mean, maybe's the best I can do.
Ricky Waters is here. I'm happy for him. I like Ricky
I'm
far
happy to see
more,
Waters here.
yeah, far more than I do with Fred Taylor. That's uh,
If
I
you ask the average, if you ask the average sports fan, let's despite the four running backs were cut here. I'm
yeah.
going to get Tiki Barber, Eddie George. I'm not high on either of them. Sean Alexander, former league MVP,
Hmm.
definitively had a higher peak than Fred Taylor, right? There's no
Absolutely.
question. Sean Alexander, a higher peak.
Hmm.
Would people have, do you want to have an argument between Sean Alexander and Fred Taylor? Sure. I mean, I'll entertain that. But is there a single person who's ever watched football who would rather have Fred Taylor over Marshawn Lynch?
No,
No.
absolutely not. I mean, like we were saying this, right? Uh, if Marshawn Lynch, if I've got for one play for 2 yards out of these six people, who am I picking?
I
I'm
mean,
picking.
Marshawn Lynch with, honestly, Alexander and George wouldn't be bad choices either. But like
I still have
Marshawn Lynch
Marshawn
would be,
over them.
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Now you want to talk?
to
You
this
want to talk?
day, the decision not to have him run is the reason that Tom Brady has another Super Bowl. That and good planning by the Patriots defense.
Well, also throw that in. Maybe that decision also is why he's not here.
Crazy. It's crazily possible. Yeah.
And Marshawn Lynch is one of those guys who he's certainly not the most media friendly. Although, watching him in interviews is hysterical. I
I'd say
love
he's
it.
pretty media friendly. He and Gronk are kind of like the lovable idiots from the last decade.
Okay, but I want media friendly in terms of traditional football media.
Oh, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because like also now I'm living in Seattle and like obviously they love him here. I mean
Mm-hmm.
he's probably the most iconic figure in a city that had Steve Largent.
Interesting. So even more than like anyone from the Legion of Boom.
That's the vibe I get. I mean, I haven't been here long enough to maybe say otherwise, but
Yeah, interesting.
yeah,
All
I
right,
mean,
continue.
yeah. So Marshawn to me is the one. Like I think it's almost criminal. He's not at this stage. I guess the only reason I can sort of say that they're looking at his overall rushing numbers. If you're just going by rushing numbers, they're lower yardage than the others, but that's not everything he was. We know this.
I mean, Fred Taylor's continued inclusion makes Frank Gore. I mean, Frank Gore is probably getting in anyway. He's third in rushing yards, right? Or second? Is he
I
second
think
or
he's
third?
second.
Second in rushing yards. So he's probably getting in anyway. But like, just the fact Fred Taylor just keeps getting here because of yards. I mean, it's Fred Taylor played in very few meaningful football games his entire career. In very few. Marshawn Lynch played in tons of meaningful football games.
Absolutely.
Just the game. No, I hate to bring up this one. Just the Beast Quake against your Saints is one of the most iconic runs in the history of the league.
Yeah, I try to forget about that, but yes.
I know, but I mean, it's like whenever they show the highlights of Barry Sanders and he has a ridiculous run against the Patriots. I remember watching that live as a kid and just being like, that man is just too good for my team. Like I watch it back and I still giggle about I can't remember who number 42 was at the time, but like turning around three ways to try and catch Sanders and never actually laying a finger on him. It's got to be the same thing. Like if someone is special does something special against your team, you just gotta laugh and move on. You know what I mean?
Well, I would imagine if you're a Seahawks fan right now, you have the Alexander passed over, Marshawn Lynch passed over, or Fred Taylor, and well, Ricky Waters was with Seattle for a bit and did
Ricky
have.
Barnes was Seattle. I mean, you gotta be at least a little happy
I
about
think of
that.
him
And
more in San Francisco, but yeah,
I'm happy to see Waters here. I think we've already sort of discussed it on our thing. I don't think Waters makes the cut to the final 15
it'll be hard.
because we go from 25 to 15. He seems like a very easy cut for me, particularly if Manning's going to take one of the spots. So,
And especially if he's behind Fred Taylor in the queue,
yeah.
or not our queue, but the queue that's
The queue, the Hall. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to wide receivers.
Yeah, because I could go on and on. And
Thinking of people who are not going to make it from 25 to 15 within the wide receivers.
Oh, you're setting me up. I'll go. I'll go through that one in a bit, but yes, Anquan Bolden, probably another one who's not going to make the cut to a finalist, but again, one hell of a wide receiver. Torrey Holt, who should have been in a long time ago.
Yeah.
Steve Smith Sr., excellent player for Carolina. Uh, I'm going to do this backwards. Reggie Wayne, who is somebody who's been a finalist many times over. A lot of people in our group are not that as big on him either, but I think we're all sort of in agreement that Holt should have been in a while ago, and Holt's the number one guy waiting. And then my recurring joke is Hines Ward, your least favorite player. I don't have a personal thing against him. I just think at wide receiver, the way things will keep logging up and clogging up at that position, Hines Ward will become the first player. You've heard it here, not first, because I've said it many times. Hines Ward will go 0 for 20. He was a semifinalist in year one. He is in year what now?
8.
Year 8.
Yeah, he will go
not a path for him to get to the finals either.
No, yeah. Well, I think that I mean I know that Wayne and Holt. So by the way, the only wide receiver he lost from the group of 50 was a very good wide receiver in Jimmy Smith, who was on the same teams as Fred Taylor. In my opinion, way more important to that team than Fred Taylor. But I'd also probably take Rod Smith over Hines Ward, but that's just me. But I mean, I think Holt and Wayne are obviously going to advance the final 15. I think Steve Smith makes a jump into the finalist list this time. Yeah. I think he's out of all the people here, unless we get 5 first ballots, which is possible, of all the people sitting on the sidelines we haven't seen yet, or if they decide to give one of the guys at the very end here a shot in the room, I feel like Steve Smith is the next wide receiver out of Bolden, Smith, and Ward that we're going to see in the finalist pool. So as long as we get either Holt or Wayne, I mean, we all prefer Holt, but one of those two just has to get off my ballot.
Yeah, no, exactly. I totally agree with that. With tight ends, there was only 2 who made the 50. We kind of knew how this was going to go. Ben Coates is out. Ben Coates, and as you've said many times, well, if you wonder why he's here, you didn't watch Ben Coates.
Yeah, Ben Coates is on the second team all decade in 1990s, an absolute utter beast of a wide receiver. So I wonder if Coates will ever get in. I mean, the senior pool may be his best shot, which is a weird thing to say because it's hard to get in. But I mean, he's the only skill position player on the all 90s all decade team who's not in at the moment. So that first tight end was Shannon Sharp, got in on his 3rd ballot. Coates has never been a finalist, retired in 2000. So next year is going to be his last shot.
Yeah, and it's a lot to ask to see if they're, and also too, there's going to be the tight end position now, as we're sort of seeing with National Tight End Day and whatnot. The tight end is not just it's exploding in yardage.
Yeah.
You know, in
Yeah.
terms
It was a
of
different
production.
position back then.
Yeah, and we're not even talking that long ago.
Yeah. Agreed.
But Antonio Gates is the one who got through. I think both of us were surprised he was not a first ballot inductee. They're not going
Mhm.
to make him wait a second year. They're not.
No. And by the way, he's the second team all tight end from the 2010s or 2000s. Of course, Tony Gonzalez is number one. So there's no shame finishing second to Tony Gonzalez. There's also no shame to finishing second to Shannon Sharp either.
Right.
They just do a very bad job of centers and tight ends. It's very hard for them to get in for the offensive positions. So,
Maybe if Ben
but yeah,
Coates had a podcast, Club Coat.
I don't know if he'd do that, but yeah.
It
So,
does.
by
It
the
can't hurt.
way, true. By the way, Gronkowski and Kelsey are the ones for the 2010s, and both those guys, I don't think, are going to have any trouble getting in when they get
Not any trouble whatsoever. All right, we go to the linemen. We've got five. Willie Anderson, we knew he'd be here because, again, previous finalist. Same with Jari Evans, who, if he
there.
gets in, will become the first Saint from that team from the Super Bowl winning championship.
How interesting.
Yeah, so I would imagine it's just a matter of whether he gets in before Drew Brees.
Because
But
when's Breeze up?
let's see, he retired a couple years ago, so that's got to be coming. I want to say 28. I could be off.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
yeah, so
okay,
we
that
have,
makes sense.
but yeah, two people we knew would be here. I'm going to go backwards again with Marshall Yanda, who I think we're both very high on. I
You're
actually
very high. I don't think Yanda gets in the first time, but he's not going to be long.
I do actually have him number one out of all the offensive linemen who were eligible.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think he's the best of offensive linemen available, but he's
Mm-hmm.
not the one I'm most passionate about because again, we have two people who are running rapidly out of time who are here. Steve
Mm-hmm.
Wisniewski,
Mm-hmm.
who is this his last shot?
This
No.
is his first time as a second time ever as a semi-finalist, by the way.
Okay.
But yeah, this is his last shot. Wait, I think.
Oh,
Hold on.
second last.
Second last shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wisniewski, he retired in 01. So actually, this is Coates' last shot. I apologize. So Coates is the senior. So yeah, this is Wisniewski's last shot.
Okay.
Right? Because it's if you retire in 2000, then you become eligible in 2005. So 20 years into 2025, which is this one. So yeah, so anyone retiring in 2000 is done. So this also closes the door Neil Smith, Cornelius Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
What else do I have? There are a couple others. So anyway, continue though.
Yeah, we'll get to there. Wisniewski to me, he's like the Raiders version of your guy Logan Mankins, who was cut from this. Just on some very good Raiders teams, but not one that won at all.
Right.
But he's got the accolades. He should have at least been pushed more by Raider Nation for not for whatever reason. I don't even think he's in the top 5 on their list, which is criminal.
Yeah, probably true.
So it's glad to see him here. And I think the one that you and I are most personally happy about, Richmond Webb.
Yes.
He's only got 3 more years.
Literal friend of the Hall of Fame. One of the people who votes on our committee.
Yeah, for the USAHOF. So
I to be honest, I was a little bummed he sent his ballot off so quickly. He never signed it. I had to figure out who it was. It's like at least I'll have Richard Webb's signature, and then I never. So.
But he is here. I've also had a chance to speak with Daniel out in France. He's the head of the Richmond Webb for the Hall of Fame committee or the push. Great guy. He was very, very happy. He was on cloud neuf today because he's French.
There you go. Nicely done.
Thank you.
The Canadians finally paying off.
That's got to count for something. But yeah, just someone who definitely deserves a look. He's finally getting it. Let's see what happens from here.
Yeah. I'm very happy. The people who got cut, by the way, both Browns. So Ruben and Lomas. I'm much higher on Ruben than Lomas.
Mm-hmm.
Olin Kreutz, a heck of a center.
Mhm.
Logan Mankins, Jeff Saturday, Joe Staley in his first year of eligibility, Eric Williams, who was not as good as some of the other offensive linemen
Yeah.
on here, all got cut. But again, what did I say? The two toughest positions to get in are center and tight end. We have no centers here at
Right.
all. So no Dermonti, no Marquise Pouncey, no Jeff Saturday, no Nick Mangold, no Tom Nalen. Um, Basically, no centers whatsoever. Not that it's the worst thing that we see some of these people. I don't think none of these five guys we see here are people I don't think belong. But again, it's just showing how hard it is to have centers. By the way, Wisniewski is one of Wisniewski and Webb are both on the 90s All Decade team.
Mhm.
And neither has been a finalist as of yet. Wisniewski, the second last year. Webb, it's his third last year. He was done in 2002. So
I would
you got to
think
get one or
that
up them in
happen.
soon. You'd figure Richmond Webb would be the guy.
I think well they both Wazinski and Webb have excellent candidates, excellent resumes for the Hall. They both have everything you need. I think what would have to happen is because Willie's apparently their top guy, whether we agree with that or not. I'd say that we don't, but that's how it's
Who's on no all decade teams.
right. Uh, if we're thinking that they're respecting their cue, Jari would have to be jumped.
Mm-hmm.
I would think
Yeah,
for that to happen. And again, if one of those two gets in the room, someone is going to make a very strong case for either. I would hope.
you would hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
We're not,
the four guards on the all decade team for the 2010s are Zach Martin, who's still playing. I think did he retire yet? I've lost track. The
no, I
Cowboys.
think he's still playing, but I have a feeling this is going to be it. The
This
way
is it.
the way that we're
But that
talking about that, man, watching the cow. I'm glad I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'll say that. Sorry,
yeah.
Paul.
But then it's Evans, Jari Evans, Logan Mankins, Marshall Yanda, two of whom are in the semifinals. The third one is consistently someone in the mix. So they didn't do the first team, second team with the 2010s team annoyingly.
Mhm.
So we're not sure exactly where, but maybe that'll help these guys once they're in. But you got to figure we get Evans, you get Yanda, Mankins, and Martin. I mean, Martin's not eligible, but those guys can't be that far behind. So.
Yeah. All right. So then we go to the defensive side of the ball. We'll go to the defensive lineman first. Jared Allen, finalist every
Not
year. So
yeah,
at some
not
point,
my favorite, but he's here. I have
I
no.
mean,
He deserves to
well,
be
once you debut as a finalist, I would have thought he would have got in already
here.
because
Mm-hmm.
usually you don't have to wait this long after you hit the final right away.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is a good ballot for him, though.
It is a pretty good ballot
Yeah,
for him.
like especially on the defensive side, we see a lot more studs on offense than we do on defense.
Yeah, and
Robert,
particularly since these other two guys here, one of whom obviously I have great love for, but I don't
yeah,
necessarily feel are must get in right now.
mhm. Yeah, and so like I think Allen's well, he's obviously ahead of your Q, their Q, then Robert Matheson, Vince Wilfork.
Mm-hmm.
Vince obviously. I don't think you. I think you could be a diehard Buffalo Bills fan and not hate Vince.
Yeah,
Right? He's just
yeah,
that guy.
yeah. He is. This is one of the most interesting places they cut people because there were
Yeah.
8
Oh.
defensive linemen we had here,
Mhm.
and we end up with Allen, Mathis, and Wilfork. But the ones who got cut, Neil Smith, last year of eligibility, all decade team for the 90s, a ridiculous football player.
Mhm.
Simeon Rice is probably never getting in because they're not going to put a fifth member of that defense for the Buccaneers of 2002 in, you figure,
But a
even though
past semifinalist.
true. That is
Yeah.
true. But I just have trouble seeing him ever
Mhm.
crossing the threshold just because we already have Rondé and Brooks and Lynch and
Yeah.
Sapp.
Yeah.
So are they really going to put a fifth player from that defense that won one championship? It's a
Probably
question.
not.
John Abraham, I think we're on record, or I mean, particularly Jack is on record of saying is a better version of Dwight Freeney, who got elected last year on his second year of eligibility.
Mhm.
John Abraham, again, he's a Jet, so I should like him. But he was someone you absolutely had to game plan for. And I maintain to this day the more important player on that Colts defense than Freeney was Bob Sanders, who was an absolute menace not on the level of Ed Reed, because no one's on the level of Ed Reed, in my opinion, but on the same level as Troy Polamalu to me, except for the fact he got injured, his career was shorter. He was the best player on that defense. He's never going to sniff the hall. So it's a little weird. Haloti Nada is
Yeah.
incredible football. Absolutely incredible. This is only his second year of eligibility. I'm hopeful that if we get Will Fork appears to be the next defensive tackle we're looking at, get Will Fork in and move on. So Haloti Nada is incredible, but you know where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who follows this knows this is my hill to die on, and every year I get closer to dying on this hill. The most eligible, incredible player who is eligible, who has never been a semi-finalist in this process, is the Minnesota Vikings' Kevin Williams. The Vikings led the league in rush defense for 3 consecutive years by a landslide. And it was Kevin and Pat Williams in the center of that defense that were responsible for it. He also has more tips, like deflected passes, since they started measuring that stat, which admittedly was back in, I think, like 1998. So it hasn't been around forever. But in that time period, he's got more than double. I think Levon Kirkland is number 2. No, it's not Levon Kirkland. Somebody from the Steelers. I can't think who it is right now. Oh, doesn't matter. But he's got more than double the number of tip passes of any other defensive lineman since they've been measuring this thing. He has deflections on the order of defensive backs, guys like Antonio Cromartie, right? He and Cromartie, if I remember correctly, last time I looked at this, have the same number of pass deflections in their career. That's nuts, right? Think how many Cromartie played more years than he had kids, and he's got a lot of kids. So the idea that Kevin Williams is not one of the best 25 players available, I mean, I've given up on him being a finalist anytime soon, but the fact that he can't even make the semifinalists to me, I don't know who I have to bribe. Like, I don't know who I have to go talk to. Maybe if I don't take Eli Manning being a first ballot Hall of Famer if we get Kevin Williams discussed in the room. Because what's going to happen is we're going to get to the end of his time, and we're going to joke about Hines Ward never, making it to the room. He's never going to make it to the waiting room to the room at the rate things are going. And that's just insane. I mean, the all-decade defensive tackles in 2000, Sapp and Seymour are in. Leroy Glover and Kevin Williams are the other 2. Just, I don't know what he has to do in order to get there. Kevin Williams, again, I'm a Patriots fan. How many Vikings games was I really that invested in? None, right? I live in Chicago now, but he was retired. He retired the year before I moved out here. Like, I don't know what he has to do. This is his 5th year of eligibility. He can't get in the semifinalist room. There's a problem if that's not happening.
We could make an argument. Well, I'm going to make an argument now. So, and this is not to besmirch Alan Matheson Wilfork. I never say that right.
Wilfork.
Yeah.
Wilfork. Whatever.
I could take 3 of those other guys and build a better team than I could with those 3.
Oh, yeah. Agreed. Can you imagine having a defensive line just going across? Would you rather have Mathis, Wilfork, and Jared Allen? Or would you rather have, let's just do Abraham, Williams, and Neil Smith?
Well, you know how big I am on Neil Smith.
I know you are.
Yeah. So Neil Smith, for me, this is the most criminal thing that's just happened, is that Neil Smith is now not only in the abyss, he never even made a semi once.
I know.
Neil Smith didn't make a semi. Like, that's.
I know.
Yeah. And I find that more criminal almost than Kevin Williams, only because Neil Smith was way on a bigger radar to a lot of people than Kevin Williams was.
Mm-hmm.
he was more known, more famous, more feared in the public sort of sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And he was defensive player of the year in 1993.
there you go.
I'm sorry. He was the I'm sorry. What's this? AP1. He's first team All Pro. That's the thing. So he was the first team All Pro once, fifth defensive player of the year once, third defensive player of the year once. So he's first team All Pro once, second team All Pro twice, 5-time Pro Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Kevin Williams is a 5-time first team All Pro.
5 in a row, I think, isn't it?
No, 5 out of 6.
5 out of 6. Okay.
Yeah,
I knew it was something very impressive.
Yeah, 5 out of 6. He missed 2 games one season in there. But like,
was he on a cruise?
No, that was somebody else. He got busted in the stupidest to this day.
No,
I know. Scandal in the history of the NFL. But in terms of defensive tackles, at least again, you could say what you want about defensive Pro Football's Hall of Fame monitor. Let me just give you the list of the defensive tackles they have rated higher than Kevin Williams. Ready?
I'm ready.
Aaron Donald is number 1. Is the greatest defensive tackle of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bob Lilly, Randy White, Alan Page, Mean Joe Green, John Randall, Warren Sapp, Merlin Olsen. What do all those people except for Donald at the moment have in common?
They are all in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
And none of them went past their second time on the ballot.
Mm-hmm. And Aaron Donald will get in first ballot.
Aaron Donald's getting in first ballot.
He won't even be discussed.
No. The people just behind him, the next 2 people, by the way, Cortez Kennedy, Henry Jordan, both Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm.
So the average Hall of Famer, according to the way they do things, has a 102 score at defensive tackle. It's one of the highest in the whole thing they do. Kevin Williams is a 105. He's above the average Hall of Famer, and he can't even get on the semi-finalist list.
He made it just as far as the guy who killed his wife and kid, and Jim Tyrer for the senior.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
No.
But like, I mean, Alex Karras, Buck Buchanan, Bryant Young, Stephen Michael. Bryant Young, by the way, who we all think is a weird Hall of Famer, his score on the same thing is 64.3. That's 41 fewer points using the same scale. It's just.
And it wasn't like a compiler either.
Yeah, Bryant Young, 1-time first team All Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler.
Mm-hmm.
Williams, 5 and 6. Like, I don't understand what has to happen here. And again, this is my soapbox. You'll hear it every year. People are probably tired of it who listen to my stuff. Just get Kevin Williams at least the semifinals, please.
Yeah.
That means that we have to put in Jared Allen or Will Fork or, I mean, I can't imagine Mathis is going in. I mean, Mathis was mentioned by Freeney last year, but I can't imagine that Mathis. It's going to be Allen or Wilfork, probably Allen. But if we get Allen in and that somehow gets this Kevin Williams discussed, cool.
Yeah, no, well, I guess we'll go to the linebackers.
Mm-hmm. We lost the semifinalist here from last year, interestingly.
Oh, who was that?
Well, go through it first.
Sorry. On linebackers, yeah. Sorry, I saw a defensive lineman in the head. Linebackers, we have 3 advancing: James Harrison, Luke Kuechly, and Terrell Suggs.
Yep.
Kuechly is, again, just as a Saints guy. I know how good Luke Kuechly is. You don't have to tell me that. I think he's got an excellent shot as a first ballot entry, which I guess would make 2 defensive players for the Panthers go in first ballot back to back with him and Peppers.
Yeah, it's true. So the 2 folks we lost from this ballot are Cornelius Bennett in his last year of eligibility. Another great player. Somehow they think that the defense of the Buffalo Bills only had Bruce Smith and everybody else is just running around not doing anything. And London Fletcher, who was a semifinalist last year.
Yeah, that's very interesting. There's always that school of thought on Fletcher. The tackling numbers are incredible.
They're insane.
Saying that, he just wasn't that. Was he a great player who was always in the right place, who just knew his positioning well, didn't make a lot of mistakes, but was he that much of a difference maker?
Yeah, that's the
I,
question.
and
I mean,
I like London Fletcher,
I like London Fletcher too, but these
but
other three guys, Harrison, Keachley, and Suggs, are all defensive player of the year.
right.
So when it comes down to it, it just might be like, hey, we got three defensive players a year when one person who's not, what do we do? You know what I mean? So, and Harrison is kind of feels like the one who's going to be a little forgotten out of this group. I think both Keachley and Suggs
Can you
make the
imagine
final
that?
15.
He's going to be how good Harrison was. We both remembered he's going to be odd man out.
He may very well be.
Yeah.
So
So
it's crazy.
I guess we'll go to the back defensive backs. Eric Allen, I'm very big on him. Rodney Harrison, Earl Thomas, another local guy here for where I am now in his first year. Earl Thomas, I think he's got a really good shot to go to the finalists in his first year. But
Mhm.
Darren Woodson, he's running out of time, and he was
Yeah,
a yeah. So he's an interesting candidate too out of these four. When I'm looking at this, as much as I'm really happiest for Eric Allen, I think he has the hardest row out of these four.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I mean, although Allen, Harrison, and Woodson were all finalists last year, um,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean Harrison was one of the ones from 6 to 10, correct?
Yeah.
So it appears that Harrison is the next Patriot they're putting up from that defense, and then we'll see Will Fork. And although there is one more Patriot coming up here, it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see where he goes. But yeah, Eric Allen, I think, is going to have a tough time getting through, particularly with the new way they have the senior pool. Who knows what's going to happen with that?
Right. And Earl
So the
Thomas.
two,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say with Earl Thomas, I mean, like he is. I would put his talent wise, I put him over all four of them, or over the other three. Sorry, great English, Kirk. Uh, Saying that he didn't do himself a lot of favors in Baltimore,
True.
and I had the pleasure of speaking with Ken Crippen, who another plug here. Ken went through who thinks is the best candidates on the football side of the United States Athletics Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
So you can check that out soon. And
I
he,
may steal his work for coming up with the next set of nominees for the nominee list.
there you go. And he was someone who helped out with that. And thanks again, Ken, for both those things. Ken's of the When I asked Ken, one of the things we were talking about was, do you look at character? He doesn't. Like he doesn't care about any of that stuff. He just says, whatever. I'm just judging by what they did on the field. But
Mm-hmm.
that's him.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some people there who will not think that way.
True. And when it comes down to making a decision,
Yeah,
is that going to hurt him? So,
it could. Should it? I don't know. Again,
right.
it's people. Like I've said from day one, these are people voting on people, and some people just rub you the wrong way.
Yeah.
And this is
So,
your chance to do something about it.
the two defensive backs we lost were Thomas's longtime teammate Cam Chancellor
Mhm.
and Troy Vincent, who honestly has worked for the league and hasn't done himself any favors. Everyone kind of hates him as the director of player safety. So, very good player, Troy Vincent. But I mean, if I had a choice, and again, I'm a Patriots fan, if I had a choice between these four, Woodson just needs to get in.
Mhm.
So,
And with special teams, this is where we knew it would be. Adam Vinatieri is giving me Devin Hester vibes. Uh,
mhm.
Best at what he did. Um,
All-time leading scorer in the league, has multiple of the 20 most famous kicks in the history of the NFL.
mhm.
He's on that list like 5 times.
Clutch when you needed him to be. Won multiple places. Great
Mm-hmm.
guy from everything I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also a kicker, and special teams are still special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think with Vinatieri, the best thing for him is just to get in almost right away because we've also seen even in just the last 10 years. When we were kids, granted, I was older. When I was a kid, I'll use that. When you were an infant,
Yes.
yeah, you'd see someone like make a high 30 yard kick, like, ooh, maybe we got a like 70% shot at that. Now that's automatic. We're reaching the point now, or even in just the last 10 years, 50 yards is getting close to being automatic for a lot of people. Vinatieri, the sooner he gets in, because the longer he stays around, the less special he becomes. As weird
Maybe,
as that
but
sounds.
but again, he's still the all-time leader, and
Sure.
he's got moments that most of the other ones don't.
No, I know
So
that, but it's just one of those weird realities, and I don't know if that's going to play in anyone's heads in terms of voters. I'm of the opinion to get him in quicker than the norm. Just for that reason, I'd be worried that other people might think otherwise. But I mean, Vinatieri could get in first ballot, wouldn't shock me. He could get in fifth ballot, wouldn't shock me.
yeah, so next year the three biggest names coming on the ballot are Frank Gore, Larry Fitzgerald, and Geno Atkins. I mean, Fitzgerald is the first ballot, no question.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like this year we'll probably have one first ballot and some cleanup, maybe two first ballots and some cleanup. Next year we'll have one or two first ballot and some cleanup as well. It's not like they're stacked classes. Um, 2027, we got Adrian Peterson, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Alex Mack. Now Brown's going to be and Peterson have their own awards. Gronk's getting in first ballot. Alex
Mhm.
Mack's at center. Richard Sherman is also up 2027. And Goskowski. Goskowski obviously is behind Vinatieri, but that's a harder class to get in. So I think I agree with you for that. 2028, we're looking at. Well, also 27 is going to be Breeze too, right?
Oh, he's
He retired
27.
a year ago.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then Brady's 28, so it'll be Brady and JJ Watt leading that 28 class. That those two may get in first ballot. I'm not sure.
I would imagine that would be the first. That would be the first time two former Saturday Night Live hosts in the same Hall of
Mm,
Fame class.
entirely possible.
Hmm.
So, and then Aaron Donald, of course, is now the 2029 leader.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll see exactly what happens here. I think Dominican Sue also would be 2028. But yeah, we'll see exactly what happens. But I think I agree with you. These next few classes, I think you're right. Vinatieri is either a first ballot or a fifth ballot, just because I think it's going to be kind of hard
Yeah.
to get in from the 2020 2029 group. So
Well, the greatest punter of all time had to wait for to become a senior.
yeah, and the second greatest punter of all time didn't even make the final 50
No, yeah.
in Landetta. So
Well, I was thinking of Shane Leckler.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking Leckler. Why did I say Landetta?
Yeah.
I meant Leckler.
Yeah, well, Landetta's up there, but yeah, I mean, but Ray Guy was even so much of a difference maker, which
Mm-hmm.
anyway. But yeah, it'll be sort of interesting.
It will.
Who were the other two who didn't make? Oh, so it was Gary Anderson and Brian Mitchell, I believe.
Yeah, Brian Mitchell and
Okay.
Gary Anderson. And of course, interestingly to me, um, well, yeah, I mean, Josh Cribbs, I thought might get a little bit of love at some point with Hester getting, but I think Hester may be one of one.
I think it's one and done. We'll never see another one again. Never.
Maybe we'll see white shoes at some point in the future, but the further away we get, the
Yeah,
less it is.
yeah, and the new rules does no senior any favor at all.
It's entirely true.
Okay, so I guess this concludes part one of season 5, episode 27. Remember,
Well,
now
hold on. Before we do it,
what's that?
if you, not what you want, but
Okay.
I'm just going to presume that Taylor, Holt, Wayne, Gates, Anderson, Evans, Allen, Eric Allen as well, Rodney Harrison and Darren Woodson get through, right?
Hmm.
Because those are the 10 left over from last year. What are the other 15 who are here? So Eli Manning, Ricky Waters, Anquan Bolden, Steve Smith, Hines Ward, Richmond Webb, Steve Wisniewski, Marshall Ganda, Robert Mathis, Vince Wilfork, James Harrison, Luke Keachley, Terrell Suggs, Earl Thomas, Adam Vinatieri. which of those five do you think make it with the other 10?
Kuechly's a lock to me.
Yep.
Vinatieri is going to be a finalist.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that. Again, he's going to follow the Hester route because Hester was a finalist in year one also. Just a matter of how they sort of like want to debate that in the room. No, there's no one who's going to be in that room who doesn't think Adam Vinatieri is a Hall of Famer, much the same they thought of Hester. It's just a matter of can they come up with five who they think should really be ahead of him at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So those two for me are definite locks as I'm going through this. Uh,
I agree with you on both of those, by the way. Of the five,
yeah,
I have two. Those two is five.
yeah.
Two of my five.
I think Suggs is going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Earl Thomas will as much as I think he should.
I actually agree with you on that. I think there's already two safeties there ahead of him who
Yeah.
are finalists. And I think they're going to try and get one of those guys in, and then Thomas gets a shot next year.
Even though I don't want it to happen, but Eli is going to be one of those guys.
Probably.
Yeah. And that leaves so like one spot. So this is really tough because I'm trying to do this without my heart going in here.
I get it.
You know, if the only real new face here who's sort of the first time, long time, that's Richmond Webb, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Webb and Wisniewski are the two.
Yeah, but Wisniewski's been a semi before.
Correct. Webb
Webb
never
hasn't.
has. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to say, you know what? Maybe they're going to go that route. Maybe they're going to go Webb, even though I think it should be Yanda. And as much as we just said how much we love Richmond Webb, Yanda's got the better resume, I honestly think, but he can wait. And I think maybe there's some people thinking a lot more along those terms. That's my prediction.
All right. So my prediction, I agree with you on Keatley and Vinatieri. I think that they can't help themselves with wide receivers. So Steve Smith is going to find his way in, and he will stay on the ballot next year. They'll get either Holt or Wayne in, and then Fitzgerald will come up. They'll, same thing's going to happen here. And then Eli, I'm going to say, gets in, and then it comes down to one of Suggs, Webb, Wisniewski, or Wilfork.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to only have one defensive lineman or only one linebacker? It seems pretty light to me. I don't know if there's a huge – if Keatley's going to be their first bout linebacker, why rush Suggs? Because they're not going to put two first bout linebackers in.
Probably not.
So that comes down to, do you want another defensive lineman with Wilfork, or are you going to give one of the offensive linemen on their last shot or second last shot a chance? I'm going to say they go with Wisniewski and give him at least a hearing in the room. And then Webb gets his hearing in the room next year. And hopefully they get either Willie Anderson or Jari Evans through. And I guess Eli, I'm just hoping beyond hope that Eli is not one of the people that I imagine he's going to be. He's the only quarterback here, and he played for the Giants. So.
I guess one more thought here with Tiki sort of going out. Gary Myers said something that was quoted. I should have had that up already. I don't. But he was basically saying that he was mostly disappointed that Tiki didn't get in because he feels that he compared him to Terrell Davis and said that the main reason he left was because he just couldn't deal with Tom Coughlin anymore. I think you're looking for the actual quote.
I'm not.
Or you're not? Okay, I thought you were. But the big reason that he sort of left was Tom Coughlin, and he just couldn't sort of like work under that system. And when I hear that, then my first thought goes back to, okay, if that's the case, and Tom Coughlin's the problem, Tom Coughlin won and so did Eli for that matter, because he trashed Eli on the way out. Let's not forget that.
Mm-hmm.
I maintain that Tiki Barber, every time he sees Michael Strahan on Good Morning America, says he's drunk. That should have been me.
Yeah.
Because he wanted that career in the media. That's what he wanted. And now he's not even the most successful twin.
Yeah, that's true.
In terms of what he was sort of like had his long-term aspirations on. So if Coughlin then wins all this stuff without him right away, and obviously this sort of like is a boost towards Eli, is it not? And Coughlin, who we're going to be probably talking about very soon when they do the coach cut down.
Yeah. I mean, I'm imagining Coughlin is going to be the finalist, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if it wasn't him, but it would seem like it makes sense for it to be him. Yeah, I don't know. Eli is such a fringe candidate to me that like just let's not even have him in the room. You want to have some uproar that he's not in the room and have him come in year two. Cool. I just don't want some way for him to sneak in as one of the five people getting in over a Wisniewski or an Eric Allen or a Richmond Webb, or hell, he gets in and we still don't get a wide receiver. You know what I mean? Like, let's just not do that. Let's let him wait the year. He shouldn't get in this first class anyway. Let him wait the year. Debate people who actually need to have a shot at being debated, because Eli Manning will be debated at some point. Wisniewski and Webb may never be debated.
Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people, and I think a lot of decision makers also look at him as the biggest star coming in. When ESPN did their article, it's like Eli leads the 25.
Yeah.
And
that's
really, but okay.
Yeah. So just by the way, before we go, I have a lot of desk to do, but can I just get the two football ones out of the way since we're talking football?
Actually, that's a good idea. Yeah. So let's add those.
So there are a lot of them, but let's just do the two football ones while we're here. First is a man who was only ever head coach at high school before being named the head coach of Notre Dame. The great experiment, Jerry Faust, died at the age of 89. Head coach of Notre Dame from 81 through 85, then coached Akron from 86 through 94. But when he ended up taking Notre Dame, he was his high school coaching record was 178, 23 and 2. So Dan Devine stepped down after the 80 season. And so the Notre Dame went and found Faust as someone to come in and take over. And he only went to one bowl game there went to two bowl games. He won the Liberty Bowl in 83, lost the Aloha Bowl in 84. But yeah, Jerry Faust passed away at the age of 89.
Okay.
And the other one, a much bigger name, in my opinion, former USC head coach John Robinson, passed away also at the age of 89. He was the head coach at USC. He was head coach of the Rams from 83 to 91. Three-time national championship three national championships as assistant coach. Actually was a consultant for that 2019 LSU championship team. So won two Rose Bowls as a head coach. He was national champion in 78 with USC. Won 5 Pac-8 or Pac-10 titles, 4-time Rose Bowl champion, Mountain West Coach of the Year in 2000 when he was with UNLV, and member of the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame in 2003. Just a heck of a coach. Actually, he attended parochial school as a 9-year-old in Daly City, California, with what Pro Football Hall of Famer? His future boss, actually.
At USC?
No, at Oakland.
Oh, I have no idea.
John Madden.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
So he and Madden were high school classmates, or school classmates, and then he served as a running backs coach for 1 year at the Raiders before moving back on. But yeah, John Robinson, an absolute legend of football, in the College Football Hall of Fame. Has over 600 winning percentages, 140, 78, and 4, so he can qualify. One of the weirdest rules in sports is that a college football coach needs to have at least a 600 winning percentage in order to get in. But he is absolute football royalty, passed away at the age of 89.
Yeah, I think that.
So that's all I have. I have a lot more for next one, but let's at least get the football guys.
All right. Well, with that, go check out again, vote www.theusahof.com, where you can sort of help decide who's part of the second class of the United States Athletics Hall of Fame, because that's all up to you. And with that, wherever you are, wherever you may be, hey, load up the next one if you're a baseball fan, because that's what we're going to be talking about next, the official 2025 baseball ballot. Take care.